The dragon. It is the most iconic creature in fantasy games and stories because it is rare, powerful, mythical, and each one integral to its setting. So much so that the dragon's very presence seems to warp the land around it, or perhaps the dragon itself is so in tune with its surroundings that this mythical monster has camouflaged and reshaped its own image to match the land it inhabits. Who can say, when as far as anyone knows, that dragon is as old as the land itself? What? Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual provides a definitive and clear answer to that otherwise awesome mystery of dragon lore? Blah, 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 blah. Red dragon lairs. Red dragons make their lairs in smoldering, unapproachable places such as volcanic mountains, burning wastelands. But the region containing an adult or ancient red dragon's lair is warped by its presence, creating the following effects. So, okay, not the land. The dragon does it if it's an adult or ancient. And I don't know about this new book, but I know the previous Monster Manual tells you exactly how many years old an adult or ancient dragon must be, and both books tell you the exact radius in miles of land that changes, and exactly when the land reverts if the dragon is no longer present. And I kinda hate this. Yeah, it's nice info for a dungeon master to have at their disposal, but I think this scientific approach, especially when revealing information about the dragon, is not merely wrong, it is antithetical. It is the very opposite of what fantasy is all about. So speaking of science, something I learned early on as an environmental educator is that curiosity and wonder are often killed, just cut off by a clear answer. So don't get that twisted. Answers are good. Truth is good. That's why we do science, and that's why I like it. But the joy of learning and that pursuit of knowledge is all about discovery, both in education and in fantasy. It is about how you uncover that truth. And as I'm sure you know, reading truths out of textbooks is often the least fun way to discover them. So, in this video, we throw out these answers on dragons so we can discover new truths about the dragon of our own game by making one. But hear this, we are not about to simply make a dragon. No, we are world building the dragon that will just ooze mystique and draw in your players. Because I'm Bob, this is where we learn how to have more fun playing RPGs together, and this video is part of Monster Week. Organized by Ginny D and Pointy Hat, there will be dozens of creators making dragon videos this week, all in the playlist below. But right here, you're in for a treat, because I've never before seen these amazing steps for dragon creation described on YouTube. And yes, while our final dragon result will be broadly compatible with your favorite D20 fantasy game, and you could easily make a few of these unique dragons with this process to cover a few level ranges, balance is not the point. Remember, we are here to revel in the quintessential mystery of the most iconic fantasy monster. Therefore, we are using the tools provided in the only fantasy RPG I know that puts mysterious monsters on such a high pedestal that its bestiary does not even include a single dragon stat block. No, it forces you to create your own dragon with these tools. Dungeon Crawl Classics. But first, if you need some dragon minions like amazingly sculpted reptile folk miniatures, look no further than today's sponsor, Tomb Guardians. Personally, I had a blast painting their new Heroes of the Realm Adventurers set, but this whole Burrow and Bloom Springtime Bash collection includes all these halflings, as well as Dragonborn, minotaurs, and over 30 other monsters, plus magical items and artifacts. So it's really a great variety of minis to check out, even if you don't need those dragon minions. And I'm genuinely impressed with the quality. I didn't have to spend any time filing down or clipping off little plastic supports. The level of detail feels perfect, like lots of interesting features on each model, but not too complex even for me as a total noob painting minis. Literally, this guy with the little potions and bells in his beard is the second mini I've ever painted, and I love how it came out. And for the best price they'll ever be, these Tomb Guardian minis are coming to Kickstarter on April 29th. So use the link below to sign up for a notification when it goes live. All right, we begin our mysterious dragon creation by jumping to the last table for dragon appearance, so we can root the rest of our creative process in flavor, not mechanics. If you have a D30 to roll, great. This is the only funky die we need today, but if not, roll it online or just use a D6 for 1, 2, 3 and a D10. But we got 15 lion-like, already unique from the standard fare of D&D lore, but even if you get a familiar result like blue, gold, red, whatever, remember, this is your dragon that just happens to be that color. It's not automatically bound to any Forgotten Realms lore. And right here, we're gonna start a little word bank. Yeah, along the way, we're just gonna list cool keywords inspired by the dragon's features. So at the very end, we can use some of them to construct an awe-inspiring title for this dragon, more like a poem of lore that certain players will just be unable to resist, instead of merely throwing a bunch of X's, V's, and Z's into a name like every other dragon. Next, roll a D6. I got distracted by Charizard there. Next, we're rolling a D6 for the dragon's cosmic alignment to one of the 3 primary forces: law, neutrality, and chaos. And we got a 2, lawful. So this dragon wants the best for all in the realm versus chaos, meaning the best for themselves, more likely to be an ally to the characters, but you never know. And that's giving keywords like justice, true, wise, order, perhaps the ordained. And our next table, dragon size. Results go from pseudo-dragon to godlike, but skewed heavily toward average, which is described as the size of a small house. Each result also tells us the dragon's hit dice, age, speed, and attack bonus. But welcome to my twisted mind. We're just gonna roll a d20 for each column, so maybe we get even more unique results. Size 13 is average, so also not worth mentioning in our dragon title word bank. Hit dice result 16 gives us 1d8 plus 4, but pay attention, that's not the hit dice, that'd be very low. That's what we roll to determine its number of hit dice, which the note above says are always d12s. So rolling 1d8 plus 4, we get 10 d12 hit dice, and that's also meaning that our saving throws are all plus 10. Similar for dragon age dice, our result of 3d4 is what we'll roll on the next table. But speed, here we go. I got a 20 on this roll, giving our dragon an 80-foot walking speed and 160 feet for flying. An incredibly fast dragon, absolutely worth part of its title. So maybe the lightning, the swift, blazing, ephemeral, because it's just here and it's gone. The ghost, that'd be cool. And its attack bonus, roll of 19 gives us hit die plus 1d6, so that's 10 plus 1 for plus 11 attack bonus. Wonderful. Now before we jump into the tables for age and breath weapons, spells, and other powers, let's address 2 things that DCC does not cover: layers and minions. Now my gut hears lawful lion-like mythical creature and immediately thinks of the Egyptian Sphinx. And that rhymes. So all we gotta do is subvert that expectation. Instead of desert-like environment and pyramid layer or giant statue of itself, this dragon lives on a small island in the middle of the ocean, perhaps in a volcano for a different pyramid-like structure. But an even cooler layer would be a massive coral palace or something. Remember, unless the player characters are determined to travel here next session, that's all we need to know about the lair. And for some fun minions that my players would like, probably just a spy network of intelligent cats, but we could use humanoid cat-like creatures, or specifically for D&D, the Tressum winged cat monster would be an obvious choice. However, the best dragon minions will always be kobolds and dragonborn, so remember to check out our sponsor if you skipped that part earlier. Alright, dragon age. From very young, 1 to 5 years, to immortal, 5,000 plus years. We're going to roll 3d4 as determined by that size table earlier, and our result is old, 101 to 200 years. Okay, Editor Bob here, and I know this is a bit of a role reversal, but today it was beautifully overcast and cool out, whereas the other days this week when I could have filmed and had to film, it was super sunny and like very cold. But I'm interjecting because the part you're about to see or either just saw shows this DCC Dragon Age table with specific ages and determining other specific things about the dragon. So it could totally seem, and may be, a little bit hypocritical with the example I set up from 5e in the beginning. So I really just want to clarify the difference here, and it does connect to another adage from my days in environmental education. Our goal, we would say this, was to be the guide on the side, not the sage on the stage. And I feel like this DCC table, it's clearly part of this wider toolkit, all telling you how you can build a dragon, guiding you through that process in a fun, hands-on way. Whereas the 5e material, just presenting a stat block and just presenting stuff like this is the way it is much more sage on the stage, pointing out these truths and just telling you, like, learn this. And ultimately, I don't want this to be like a one is better than the other kind of thing, because clearly just receiving the completed material is best in a lot of cases and for a lot of people. I'm just at a stage in my GMing where I really like the tools and playing around with it that way. So that's the premise I've gone with for this video. I just wanted to clarify the point here and the potential hypocrisy you're about to see before I have to see a lot of that in the comments, I guess. So back to it. And this time, let's just take each result right across the table. So our dragon has 6 hit points per hit die for a total of 60 HP. Definitely kind of old school, so you may want to double that or more for super heroic fantasy games like 5e, Pathfinder, DC-20. But also remember that balance is not the point here. The dragon has 2 daily breath uses, an AC of 15 plus hit die, so 25, 2 attacks per turn, which can be claws, bite, or tail slap, and the notes above tell us how much damage these deal. And finally, the die for spells column gives us 1d10 plus 2 to roll when determining our spells. But real quick, let's add the old to our dragon title keywords, and building on that super fast speed and relatively high AC, we can throw in untouchable, ethereal, the ocean mist, the wave. Now for the breath weapon, we're rolling a d14 or d20 if you don't have it, and our result of 6 means that our lion-like oceanic dragon has an acid breath. And I love that because I probably never would have chosen that result, but it already has me thinking how this acid breath would actually be perfect for sculpting and constructing its calcium-based coral palace. Yeah, because that's science actually. And the other breath weapon details are pretty straightforward, but I will share that when I rolled for the dimensions of its acid breath cone, I got 50 feet wide and only 10 feet long. So the cone is more like a line that comes out of both sides of the dragon. Absolutely wild. The players will never see it coming. What did I tell you? One of a kind. So keywords here: the acrid, the sculptor, the sprinkler, and spells. Remember, we are rolling 1d10 plus 2 as determined by our dragon age table, and that gives us a result of 4, meaning we have 1 additional action per turn that can be used to cast spells with a +4 spell check, That's roughly like a level 2 or 3 DCC caster, so level 4 to 7-ish 5e character. But I guess I keep needing to remind myself that balance is not the point, and we have 2 spells of level 1, 1 spell of level 2, and since this is DCC Wild Magic Anything Goes, we are supposed to randomly determine those spells, and a random side effect that goes off when the spell is cast, called Mercurial Magic. So keeping that quick, we get Detect Magic with Prismatic Distortion, then Read Magic with no extra effect, surprise, and Spiderweb with the effect Gibbering Allies, which is just perfect because that's supposed to be a bunch of little rat demons and could totally be reskinned as little draconic cats. And these spells are giving titles like the Sage, the Rune Reader, and maybe the Spider. But our last cool moves to add to our dragon are its martial powers and unique powers. We roll for a number of these based on our dragon's hit dice, and in our case, 2 martial, 3 unique, and our dragon can hurl massive boulders over 100 feet as an action. It has 100 feet of infravision, which is basically heat vision. It can mystically detect plants at will, perhaps for seeking some kind of specific magical components. Plus, once per hour, it can summon a 100 by 100 by 20 foot wall of fog that slows creatures inside, and it is telepathic. Now here it is, with all these unique and fantastical features that we discovered together. A dragon combination never before written or played in an RPG, totally unique to our experience. I dub this dragon the Maned Ghost of Mistasula, Sculptor of the Coral Palace, Reader of Runes and Minds, Old Lion of the Waves, Oraz Sunhide. Honestly, the only way to make that cooler is if we use the DCC rules for rolling a magic sword so they can be Oraz Sunhide, wielder of another really cool name. So please give this video a like if you would want to see a video like that, and consider joining my Patreon to support this channel and get a little PDF of this dragon, as well as occasional exclusive videos. Thank you so much. Keep building.